Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm Billy Goble, your host, and today we have a special guest, a former Raider alumni and softball player, went on to Florida Gulf Coast University and then to the University of Florida to play some softball. Without further ado, we want to welcome Miss Marissa Mesiemore. Marissa, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
How's it going?
It's going good.
It's going good. Everything's good?
It's going good.
How's life?
It's been crazy. I feel like I have such a hectic schedule nonstop. It never stops being a student athlete, I swear. But no, it's been good. I definitely miss it, but I'm glad to be done so I can start hanging out with friends and family more and doing vacations and stuff that I missed out on. So it's been good to just sit back and relax and kind of watch everything for sure. Yeah,
when you're a student athlete, you miss out on a lot of normal activities that you would take advantage of in everyday life.
Even in middle school and high school, that's when I started really traveling and stuff for travel ball. So I missed 2 of my homecomings, and it was crazy.
It's the sacrifice that you make for the greater good, and
exactly,
and it works out in the end.
It was definitely worth it in the end.
Yeah,
wouldn't trade it for anything.
There's quite a few times where I've done some things like homecoming or whatever, and I'm like, you know what, it really wasn't that what it was all cracked up to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I don't think you really, I wouldn't consider you missing out. I think whatever you had your priorities.
Exactly.
So let's take a look closer, and we'll do a background bio on you. So when did you start playing softball?
Oh, God. So I started playing when I was about 4 years old. I know that's so crazy to even think about, because I'm fixing to be 25, so that's 20 years basically. That doesn't even seem real. So I started playing when I was 4, and then I started working on pitching when I was about 6.5, 7. I didn't start getting good, so I was about 9 or 10. It takes a long time, consistency every day till you finally just start getting the motion, and it feels basically second nature to you. So I started doing lessons and really getting into it about 9, 10. Just kind of took off from there.
Right.
I played Little League until I was about 7 or 8, I want to say. And then at travel ball, that's when it really started picking up. It's huge now, obviously. But when I was growing up and from transitioning from Little League to travel ball, it really started taking off when I was about 10, 11. So I started there and then just kept working up and up. 7th grade rolled around, started getting my first offers and stuff to go play college softball.
Right.
That was awesome. And then I think I was about 9th grade when I started getting the big D1 offers.
Right.
Yeah, and went down there to Florida Gulf Coast University and actually played a tournament there at their field, and that's where he seen me. I think that was the summer before my sophomore year, and that's when he seen me and really liked me, and he came to a lot of my tournaments. His name's Dave DeRose, great guy. And I was still really focused on Florida at that time. That was obviously my number one and big dream school, so I was going to camps there. And there was a big prospect camp that you stay for 3 or 4 nights. And me and this other girl who, her name's Lexi Kilfoyle, she actually went to Alabama, and then now she's at Oklahoma State, I think. We were the 2 pitchers there, and we were kind of battling for like the better pitcher of the camp and stuff. And she threw like 1 mile an hour harder than me like one time. So she won the hardest pitcher throwing there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the camp, I was like a hitter and stuff that she didn't really hit at that camp. So I was hitting and pitching, and I was hitting a couple home runs and stuff. So I ended up winning actually MVP of the whole camp. I got a bat out of it, and that was awesome.
Gotcha.
So Tim Walton and Coach Roach at the time, she was the pitching coach there. They came and watched me at some tournaments and stuff, and it was just so surreal, like actually having him there, like watching me at my games, because he doesn't just go to like anybody and everybody's games. So that was a surreal moment in itself. And then he remembered that and remembered me obviously whenever I went there for my 5th year, but he had a couple other pitchers and stuff already committed from my grade and everything. So I was like, let me go somewhere where they're actually going to pay me like for all of my scholarship and stuff instead of just a little bit from UF. So went to talk to FGCU, got a full ride there for 4 years to pay for all my books, all my softball and stuff. So,
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, I didn't know until Kirsty told me that softball doesn't come to your high school games.
Nope.
They only come to your travel league games. And I thought that was really bizarre. Like, because football, I know there's no travel football, and that makes sense. They got to come to the high school. But I just thought that was for everybody. Like, baseball scouts, they come to your high school games.
I know.
They don't come to your travel ball league if you have one. I mean, I don't know if high school players. Did they do a travel ball league, or is that too old for them? Or
they actually do. Some schools, they do like a fall league. Over in like Claremont and stuff. A lot of my teammates that I was playing with over the summer, they were playing in fall ball and stuff like that. And a couple times I would actually go over there and like in middle school and go play with them and like guest play and a few other things.
So you became a pitcher. Is that what you wanted to do, or did you like? Or is that something you were just good at and you became a pitcher? Or was this something like, you're like, you know what, like everybody in Little League wants to pitch. Doesn't matter how good you are.
Exactly.
They want to pitch, and then they realize, or they also want to catch. Like, I want to be a catcher. And then you get behind the plate and you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks.
Yep.
Like, it's not as glamorous as I thought it was going to be.
Taking foul balls off everything.
Or just squatting down and, behind the plate every pitch.
Every single one.
A lot of people don't realize, but the catcher that's the captain of the team. And I didn't realize that, but he's calling the plays. And everybody thinks just because the pitcher's on the mound, the pitcher is the most important guy or girl on the team, but I think it's the catcher.
For sure. One thing that stuck with me that somebody said a long time ago is that the catcher sees everything on the field. They see everybody. They have like the best point of view. And I was like, man, I never thought about that, because I'm just seeing the catcher. I'm not even seeing my other teammates most of the time. So
I always tell the group when I was coaching Little League or softball, I was like, listen, you control the game tempo. You are the game manager. And you're allowed to. Hold on a second, I need to go out there and talk to my pitcher.
Exactly.
Pitcher don't go talk to the catcher. Catcher always goes to the mound.
Yep.
So, or whatever they need to do. But I didn't realize that either until I got a little bit older and realized, oh my gosh, that's why everybody wants to be a catcher.
Exactly.
Or a pitcher, because those two, 1 and 2, they're
the battery.
It's either or. Somebody wants they fall in love with that role.
Exactly.
So you said you played in middle school a little bit. So we were talking about that with Zoe, and Kirsty, the middle school season's just not that long.
No, it's only like maybe 10 games. I want to say. Yeah.
So it's like once you get your feet wet, you're like, all right, and the season's over with.
Exactly. We did go undefeated both years though, so that was like,
that's cool.
That was cool. That was a cool thing.
Who was the coaching?
Her name was Miss McCarthy. She doesn't work here anymore. She moved all back to Maine or something in there.
Okay.
And Simchuk kind of helped out too.
Okay, Coach Simchuk.
Love Simchuk.
Yeah. So you go to high school. What's one of the things you noticed? The difference, speed of the game is a lot faster.
Definitely.
You play JV or did you go straight
varsity?
Straight
to varsity.
Okay. I figured as much, but I'm like, well, you can't assume.
No, you can't assume anymore any days.
And not everybody goes straight to varsity. There's been people that start. Earl Everett was on JV squad, and they're like, you need to go to varsity.
That's funny. I think, was it Steph Curry that he didn't even make his JV high school team?
Michael Jordan didn't either.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan got cut, I think, 3 times.
That's crazy.
Something like that. I don't know how many times, but
that's got to give you a drive.
Yeah,
like nothing.
Then you take it personally. So your freshman year, who's coaching then?
Mark Johnson.
Okay.
Yep, and Miss Heather Kadur. They were both I think she was actually the head coach and he was the assistant.
I gotcha.
Yep, they were awesome.
Who were your class teammates? You gonna name some shout-outs?
Yeah, Emily Huff was my catcher, Carson's girlfriend. She's
okay.
Awesome. Yeah,
I didn't know Emily played.
Yeah, she's
so
awesome.
quiet. She's so quiet.
She is.
Every time I see her, she's like.
Yeah, she was awesome. We were best friends throughout high school, and we had a good connection, so it made for a good battery.
What
for
position
sure.
did she play?
She was a catcher.
Oh my gosh, that's even.
Right, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna see her soon and be like, you didn't tell me that. That's awesome.
That's funny. And then Tawny Teller, she was one of our outfielders. I'm still really good friends with her. We go to Universal all the time together. Tiana. She was also an outfielder. These are the small little girls that are so fast. They were just, it was insane. We ran the field in some powder puff football, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh.
I would make the passes to them and they would just take off. That was good. It was a fun time.
Funny story about powder puff. That was my senior year I got to coach. And we had, when you're a senior, I guess back when I was a senior, it really wasn't that big a deal, like powder puff. Whatever. But now it's like, everybody loves it, right?
Gets intense.
So I remember I had exactly the amount of girls I had to have on the field. So I'm guessing there was 11. I don't know if we did 7-on-7 or not, but I think it was 11 girls. And something happened, and one of the girls tripped another girl, and they said it was intentional. I think it was Stan Coburn throws a flag, and he's like, "All right, you're out of here." Right. And I'm like, you can't kick her off. We don't have anybody else.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like looking in the stands, and girl named Tina Lovett. She was. I said, Tina, get out of here! I'm scanning for seniors. I'm like, Tina, get out here. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, you don't need to know what you're doing. Just be out here. Yeah. We can't play unless you play. Yeah. So it was funny. It was one of those. But powder puff is awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. We all played it all 4 years. All the softball girls. So it was.
Yeah, that year the juniors were the best because they had Elizabeth Everett and all these other athletes. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're
that's
gonna get
funny.
killed.
I think we were runner-up my freshman year, and then maybe even our sophomore year, but then we won it for the next 2 years. We were behind Kira Eastburn and Morgan Felt and all them. They went all out too. So.
Oh yeah, Kira's she's pretty intense.
Yeah,
I've seen her play basketball for.
I liked playing basketball and softball with her. She's awesome.
She's very competitive. So, anyways, you got your freshman year. Any games that stand out that you have
in high school or college?
In high school.
High school. Yeah. Let's see. Freshman year was definitely
memory lane here.
Yeah, I know. Freshman year was definitely a big transition. Like you said, the level of play just completely changes from middle school to high school, and even high school to travel ball. There's so many levels of different play and stuff.
Absolutely.
So freshman year, it was a big transition, and obviously kind of stepped on some toes being, the freshman starting on varsity and stuff. So I had to kind of transition into that. But I had a lot of great girls that were helping me out. Morgan Mobley, Sky Davenport, girls like that just kind of paved the way and showed me how to play on varsity and stuff. And
Morgan, she's one of my favorites too.
She's awesome.
She anchored that third base side.
She was flying around those bases too. Stellar. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I haven't seen her in a while. I remember going to watch. I think I might have announced or did something there, and I watched a few games. I was like, oh my gosh, she's really good.
There was one game. I think it was our sophomore year. She hit a home run, and then I hit a home run, and then Michaela Penninger hit a home run, all back to back to back, and that'll stick with me forever because that doesn't happen anywhere, at any level. So
that's a cool feeling too because you get a home run. You get a home
Exactly.
run. You get a home run. Who's next? And then the next person gets up and they're like, I struck out. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it.
I don't remember who was the fourth batter after that, but I'm sure they were just like, I have to hit home run. I have no other option.
No pressure. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh man.
So, sophomore year, you got some experience under your belt. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, we actually won our first district championship that year. Yeah, we were runner-ups freshman year to, I think, the green school up north is what we refer to them as.
The green guys. Yeah.
Yep. So we were runners-up my freshman year, and then we actually won the first time our sophomore year. I think it was against Hudson, I want to say.
Yeah.
It kind of like traded back and forth, but that was an awesome feeling. I think that was the first year Mark Johnson took over as head coach, so he was like ecstatic and just over the water for that. So that was a good feeling for sure. And like you said, I was more comfortable. I'd already done it for a year, so
right.
It
makes a big difference when you have that transition period over with, and you're kind of like, it doesn't matter if you go from middle school to high school to college, or college to pro. That first year, you like. But then they always call the second year your sophomore slump.
Exactly.
But I'm like, wow, you're not very positive with this terminology here. But no, you kind of get that going, and then any highlights from that year stand out?
I think not from that year, but the next year, my junior year, that was the best year by far, for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, let me rewind. Sophomore year, we made it through like the couple rounds after districts. I think that was the big game against PK Young, if I'm not mistaken. They were coming to us to play, and it was like a middle of the week game, like a Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah. And that was the furthest the softball team had went in a really long time. I think if we won that, we would have went to the Final Four. I think that's what game that was. And there were so many people that were supposed to come. Deputy Wynn, he was the resource officer at the time. He was going to let all the boys park their trucks behind the field, and it was just going to be like crazy. They had sold out of tickets. They had to print more and all that. And then it ended up getting rained out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and even Kirsty was at UF at the time, and she, I guess, was in contact with Coach Johnson, and she was supposed to come and bring a couple of the girls from the UF team because that was just a huge game. Yeah. And it got rained out, and we were all like, oh, you're kidding me. And so it got pushed to the next day, and still a lot of people came, but like not everybody that
just
said
wasn't as advertised as it was the day of.
That was a little bit devastating, but we ended up losing, like, I think about one run that game or something. Yeah, so.
And PK Young from Gainesville. Have you ever been there? You ever been to their campus?
I don't think to their campus, no. It's been to Stark. They're kind of close, aren't they? I think.
They're a little bit further out off of 301, but PK Young, we played football there one time, and it was bizarre. Their football field is connected to their baseball field.
Oh, wow.
So when they have baseball, they swing these gates closed, and that's the wall, warning track wall area. And so, but it's like this one big open area. But to get to like concession and bathrooms, you have to go all the way around the baseball field, and it's like, and there's nowhere like when I was filming, I sat with Coach Gauntlet and Coach Coburn, the offensive defensive coordinator, in the stands. We had nowhere to go because they have like a little watchtower up, and their film guy and the announcer was up there. I'm like, and it only held like 3 people.
Wow.
So we're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But yeah, PK Young, that's a weird. I've only seen another school like that, and it's out in Oklahoma. My brother said that they put up construction fence across the 25-yard line, so the baseball field, that they hit it over, it's a home run. But
wow.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Running out of room places like that.
They're just stacked. And what it is it's stacked in the middle of the city. Like they have like maybe 6 blocks of a school, and it's like everything is so. It's like Legos.
Yeah.
It's so compact.
Yeah.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal and Clark and Kingston Paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with it. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. But anyways, your junior year, you got you said you were not state runner-up, but you were...
So junior year, we made it to the Final Four.
That's right.
And the summer before my junior year is when I actually committed to FGCU. I think it was in like October of my junior year, I guess. So, but yeah, I was talking to him over the summer and everything. So that was a good feeling, like just being committed and stuff. Like that was a big thing to say you were committed when you were playing. But yeah, so our junior year, we finally made it to the Final Four, and the team that we ended up playing right out of the get-go was like the better team. Like us and them were the better two teams out of the four people left, and we weren't supposed to play them right out of the gate. Like it was supposed to kind of be the championship game, because
like the college football.
they definitely would have won whoever they played, and we like most likely would have won whoever we played.
And then you play each other.
But then something with the schedule was weird, so we played each other. And it was tough. They had a great pitcher at the time that I ended up facing in travel ball later on, and in college several times. So, but that was a surreal feeling, having the whole school like watching us and cheering us on, because we've been a football school for so long, still are. And so just kind of watching the high school change to enjoying to watch softball and watching it more was a great feeling for sure. We got sent off on the bus, like the send off that they do and stuff for football. We got our own private coach bus and all that to go down to Vero Beach, and they let all the students out of class, and everyone was waving us when we left. And then while we were playing, they let all the students come from class and go to the lunchroom and stuff, and like they had the game pulled up on the thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so people were sending me like videos of that and stuff, and that was a really good feeling, just knowing everybody was cheering us on and stuff.
Very supportive. So and you get down there, and I heard that it was so close, but
it was like 0-0 for a very long time, like 5 or 6 innings or something, and then we kind of made a few errors here and there, and they ended up scoring a run or two, and then we couldn't hit off her very good. She was another good pitcher, and I think we lost like 2-0 or 3-0. It wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
But
and that was your junior year. Okay, so senior year, you have a few highlights from there.
Yeah, Coach Mark Johnson, he went to baseball after that to go announce and stuff. So Noe actually took over my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was cool.
So Zoe was
a freshman
there,
year,
because she had just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
I think she started on JV, then I think she moved up to varsity afterwards, or maybe she was on varsity the whole time. I know she was on varsity for sure for a period of time, because I remember her playing first base. But yeah, he didn't 100% know a lot about softball. He's definitely a football guy, so it was a learning experience for everybody. But he was great. He had such a good positive attitude while he was out there that he made it like very fun to be out there.
You know, the good thing about Coach Noe is he's super smart. So smart. These kids have no idea how smart he is. They think they're smarter than he is. I'm like, bro, you don't even have a clue what you're dealing with right now.
He learned a lot of stuff very quickly, like how to do coaching and just anything like that, calling pitches and stuff like that. He learned very quickly. So
yeah, and you know, one thing, he's a people person. That's what you got to be.
Exactly.
And I mean, there are a few successful coaches that are not as personable, I'd say, but majority of them, how many times have you heard he's like a father figure to me, or,
exactly,
or you know, or she's like a mom to me, or whatever. I mean, it's just, you got to be that way.
Exactly.
You can't. You know, you got to know. I've always heard you got to know your kids. You got to know your players.
Yep.
And that, you know, that makes
for sure.
Makes it easier.
I was very lucky for both of my college coaches to be like that. Yeah. They were very family oriented first. Like if you had, you know, something going on, a wedding or something like that, they would let you go take care of that. You know, over practice and stuff, for sure.
That's cool.
And they were very student athlete oriented. Like, you're a student first, your grades matter first, where you're going after this.
Absolutely.
They want to set you up for job success and stuff. So
we try to instill that in the players at the high school. You know, it starts, your day doesn't start here on the practice field. It starts over in the classroom. And it's very valuable to you to take advantage of that.
It is, for sure.
And at that age, you're like, whatever.
I know.
And we've all done it.
Yep.
You're like, whatever. And then you realize, you're like, oh my gosh, they're right. I don't want to say they're right, but they're right.
Yeah. I feel like that student portion is preached to the women's sports a lot more.
Yeah.
And it definitely should be applied to the men's sports more. Like, there's so much more out there that you can do. Like, unfortunately, football's not forever.
Right.
You're going to get hurt eventually. And
Absolutely.
Get cut, whatever it is. So, like, you always got to have a backup plan. And that's so important.
The career expectancy is like, what, 3 years in the NFL? Maybe 3-4 years? They're not even expecting you to be there long enough to get, like, any kind of insurance when you retire or anything. You'd be lucky.
Some of those hits, man, you see them and you're just like, oh, gosh.
I think that's what makes, that's why, you said something about us being a football school. I think people just like the violence more. Maybe if softball had a few like tackles.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
That's too funny.
I kid you not. I told Kirsty this. I enjoyed going. There was that watching you guys play was awesome. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so bored out of my mind. I'm never doing this again. No, I was like, when can we come back?
Right. It's such a fast-paced game. It kind of keeps on the edge of your seat.
It's better than baseball. It really is. Like I'm going to go out on the record and say that. I mean, like, because I've announced some high school football or baseball games, JV, and sometimes you're like, what's going on? Strike.
That's funny.
But it seems like and here's another reason. I don't know if you've seen this, but have you seen the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
Okay,
oh my gosh, so funny.
So they're making the sport fun.
Yes.
That's what you have to do.
Exactly.
People don't have the attention span.
They don't.
They got like a 3-second TikTok and they're like, on to the next one.
Exactly.
That's why I'm just happy that anybody wants to watch a podcast.
Right.
Watch a podcast.
Right.
You either got that 3-hour attention span or you got the 30-second. There's really no in between.
Exactly. Yeah, they're hilarious though. I actually know a couple guys on the team, so I want to go watch them. I just haven't had time, but I love seeing those TikToks. They crack me up. And they had Jocelyn Allo on there a while back.
Oh, okay.
I think she hit a home run on there. Because, she's a home run queen.
They had something on stilts one time.
I know.
And I'm like,
and they threw the ball like way up to him to hit it.
It's like a 12-foot pitch. I'm
right.
Like, but I did see one the other day where the opposing team was the bottom of the ninth. And the opposing team, how was it set up? Had to be, what was the ninth inning? I don't know if it's bottom ninth inning. Guy hits a ball and a fan catches it, and that's game.
That's funny.
If you catch a ball, a foul ball, that's an out. So they had 2 outs. This guy over there on the left field line catches this ball, bam, and he's so like funny. Going crazy. They pull him out on the field. They're like, come on. They're like, give it up for him. They won the game for us. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool.
That is cool. That's had to have been planned. No way.
I don't know how you can play.
I know. How do you pull a foul ball perfect?
But you know what? Those guys are like, they consider them like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Yeah.
Like, how do those guys do like the stanky leg and then they throw a pitch right down the middle?
Do like a cartwheel and like throw it or something? Crazy stuff.
I got to go to a game now.
I know. I would love it.
It's crazy.
I think they've already been to Florida though this season.
And tickets were outrageous.
Were they? Oh,
it was like $125.
Jeez, that is a little crazy.
But man, oh my gosh, I would love to go see a game. Like the umpire's twerking.
I know. I like seeing him. He's always dancing behind the camera. I think that's hilarious.
Do you think it's the same guy, or because I see him on all the TikToks?
Yeah,
same umpire.
The one I've seen, it seems to be the same guy. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. So let's move on. You graduate. What graduation class was it?
2017.
17. Yep. Okay, 2017.
Seems like forever ago.
I know.
I was just doing the math the other day. It was like 6 years. I was like, that doesn't even seem real. And then even worse, it was like guys who just graduated in 2017. It was 10 years ago when you were a freshman in high school. And I was like,
oh yeah, you're done.
It's like I'm done. that doesn't seem real at all.
So let me ask you this about graduation. What was that moment like? Because a lot of people, I tell them, they're like, well, it was cool, but for me, it was like really awesome.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
Walking across the stage.
Well, I just I'm not even that didn't get me. It's when we were in the parking lot, we all
throwing the hats up.
Oh,
yeah,
man, dude.
That's a very special moment.
I told somebody, I was like, it was like I won the Super Bowl. Of course, I was the bad student. I didn't have good grades, and I didn't know I was going to graduate anyways. So, like, I remember when I told my mom that I was going to graduate, she's crying.
No.
And I was like, yeah, I got a B, Mom, in this class that I had to retake, and she's crying. And I was like, I didn't realize, again, you're young, and you don't realize how important it is to other people.
Yeah.
That's very important.
It is.
And nothing against people that have that. I mean, there are circumstances where people have to go and get a GED or whatever, or they had to drop out for some reason. I get all that.
Exactly,
But I don't want somebody to not feel that same.
Yeah, I think it's such an accomplishment to graduate high school. People don't even view it and see it like that. And like we had several students that made it to our senior year, got through the first semester, and then just like dropped out. Like you said, there's circumstances and stuff. But I was just about to tell you,
there was. I remember. I couldn't even name them if I tried. But I remember there was a couple people. 2 weeks for graduation. 2 weeks.
That's so.
And they're like, I'm out. I'm like, what? What are you doing? You have 2 weeks. The last week we don't do anything.
No, just practice graduation
practice. You couldn't make it?
That is crazy.
5 more days? I'm out. Some people, the way their reasoning for things it's impressive. Like they just threw that all away.
I think that's like such a difference between the NARPs and the student athletes is that you like being an athlete, you don't quit. Like you don't see things like that and you don't quit. Like you push through no matter what. Like literally no matter what.
Well, there's a documentary. It's called Unbranded, and if you ever get to watch it, it's on YouTube, and it's 4 buddies. They graduate from Texas A&M, and the main guy's his name is Ben Masters.
Okay.
And so while they're in college, they plan this route. They're gonna take horses. Not just any horses. They're going to get Mustangs. They take the Mustangs, wild Mustangs. They tame them. It takes a month. They break them. They're tamed somewhat where they can at least ride them. And they needed these Mustangs because it's overpopulated out west. And they said there's like 50,000 horses out there that are just roaming around and they can't feed them and all that. So anyways, they took about, 15 of them, 16 of them, broke them, loaded them up. They went from the Mexico-Arizona border, and they rode on horseback all the way up to Canada.
Wow.
Okay? There's a guy on the documentary. They're 1 mile from the Canadian border, and he said, I don't want to finish it. And they're looking at him like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? And he's like, look, some things are just best left undone. What? That was his reason. And Ben's like, I kind of understand where he's coming from, but dude, we planned this for 4 years. And we drove. It took them April to September. That's how long it took them on horseback.
Wow.
Horseback. They're not in a camper.
Yeah.
They're on horseback. They camped out every night. They went through these obstacles. They had to go through the Grand Canyon where they're on trails this wide, They're like if a snake or a plastic bag blows out and scares the horse, we're done. But just something about that where he didn't want to finish. It's like, and everybody else is like, no, you have a goal. You set a goal out, you do it. And this guy was just like, no, I'm just going to let it. And it reminded me of those people like 12 years of school, 2 weeks, I'm out.
He could have got off the horse and walked to do it if it was,
And then he could have came back whenever he wanted and do a mile on a horse and he could say, I've done it. But he didn't want to do it because he was just like, you know what? There's things that I want to leave to the unknown. So I get it, but I'm like, dude, you rode all the way, and it's crazy.
It'd be if it was like 10 miles away, halfway there, or something. But.
No, like he quit in like Colorado, whatever.
Yeah.
Can't do it. No. All the way to Canada from the Montana border.
That is
It's
insane.
crazy. Anyways, so you graduate. Tell me about I don't know, besides, I know you went to Florida Gulf Coast. I have a cousin who went to Florida Gulf Coast. She played soccer.
Awesome.
Shout out to Amanda Gobes. She changed her last name from Goble to Gobes.
Nice.
Amanda. And she played soccer. She was a student athlete there.
We had a good soccer team there, men's and women's.
They were
very
legit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to get her on the show. But yeah, she and of course Dunk City when the
Great basketball team.
basketball team. And so other than that, I really don't know much about Florida Gulf Coast.
It's definitely a newer university. I think now it's probably 20-something years old, but when I was there, it was only like 18 or something like that. So it's definitely a newer university. Everything's very new and modern there. It's not like going to UF and just seeing like the older buildings and stuff like that. And of course, it's that's good. That's a part of the scenery, and they keep it like that on purpose. But there's so much just new, modern stuff there at FGCU. So it's definitely a newer place. But yeah, we had a lot of good sports teams there, actually. Our women's basketball team was really good. They made it to at least the Sweet 16 a couple times when I was there. Okay. Men's basketball was pretty good, but I don't think they made it out of the conference play and stuff like that. And then both of our soccer teams were really good.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good people on there. And baseball was pretty good. They went to something like my senior year, I want to say.
Right.
So
how was it down there? It's Fort Myers, correct? Mm-hmm. So how was living in Fort Myers?
It was pretty beautiful down there, to be honest. A lot of beaches and stuff. Yeah, like Bonita Springs is right there. And the poor beach absolutely destroyed from the latest hurricane.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of it, and it just doesn't even look at all what it used to look like. So hopefully they'll get all that cleaned up and get it back to looking the way it did. But yeah, there's not too much to do right around campus, as like a social party life kind of thing. We would go to people's houses and stuff like that more than anything. So there's not just a lot of stuff right there, but they've grown and stuff. They have pretty much any food place you can think of. They got a lot of food places around there.
You got a favorite? I know they have to have seafood down there. You got a favorite seafood place down there?
I'm trying to think. There's a couple that are on the beach that we would go to once in a while. I can't even remember the names of them because they were hole in the wall places that were really good.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, for sure. They had this Yo Taco place right on the beach too. That was a great place. But yeah, they have a lot of shopping centers, a lot of malls and stuff like that. So that was fun. We never ran out of things to do outside of softball for sure.
Now, since you were so close to the beach, did they do a lot of conditioning with the beach?
We have a little beachfront actually right there at FGCU, kind of by the field a little bit. Uh-huh. So we would do some stuff on there. We would canoe out in the lake for this. I forget what he called it, but it was basically these triathlon games that we would play. When we first got back from the summer, we would get in groups and he would make us play some games like that. We'd play beach volleyball, pickleball, basketball, canoe on the water and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And we did do conditioning on our beach volleyball court out there. So that's tough. Yeah. Running in sand and stuff like that. It's a whole nother level for sure.
It's a good way to blow your knee out too. No, that's a good thing because not the knee part, but the canoeing and everything that helps you develop team skills.
Exactly. Terrifying kind of.
Yes, but
because we have alligators and stuff out there in that water.
Yeah, bull sharks. And, I don't know about them bull sharks. They're all over the place.
They're crazy.
So when you let's see, when you got there, you get dorms or you got a house?
Mm-hmm. So when you're a freshman there at FGCU, he makes you live with 3 other freshmen in a 4-bedroom apartment. Gotcha. And like you were saying earlier about just the difference of transitioning between middle school, high school, and college. The summer before I went to college, I played with this travel ball team that we actually went to a lot of different places. We went to Texas, Colorado, California, and these big tournaments. And he did it because like we were all pretty much going to college the next fall.
Right.
So he was like, you're going to be traveling, by yourself, away from your parents. Your parents can come to the games, stuff like that, but you're going to be staying with your other teammates and stuff in the hotel. And he did it like that so you could get used to being away from home and your parents and stuff like that. And I think that helped me a lot. Doing that over the summer, that was basically my whole summer. I went and played in a bunch of different states away from everybody, and that really helped me transition in college for sure. I was definitely still homesick and wanted to come home on weekends that I had off, but it made it a lot easier to just kind of stay there and really work on everything.
How many girls you say were in your dorm?
There was 4 of us in a dorm at a time on freshman year.
The reason why I asked that is because over at Disney they have a college program. Mm-hmm. They got rid of it for COVID. They did. But they've had it for years before that, and there'd be 6 girls in the house.
We already had to share like 2 bathrooms and a shower, so that was more than enough.
Yeah, and if you hated someone, oh my god, it was awful.
It was tough.
There was always a girl who couldn't cook, or there was always a girl that was very dramatic, and the stories that you could. Oh, I'm
sure.
I felt bad. I'm like, 6 girls?
That's a lot.
That's crazy.
That's like when I see some of those girls on TikTok that live in sorority houses, I'm like, y'all are brave.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be me.
I'm like, how do you even share? You can't share a couch.
Nope.
Somebody's on the floor.
Exactly.
So yeah, they kind of get you ready for, student athlete life. And that's cool how they just kind of throw you to the wolves. You kind of
exactly
transition period there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it helped a lot. But my freshman year when I got there, that other big hurricane hit like 2 weeks after we got there and were settled down.
Yeah.
I think, what was the one that just hit? Matthew?
Yeah, I know there was Nicole because I'm reminded of that one.
Yeah.
That was like a tropical storm. Or
was it Ian?
It might have been Ian.
Okay,
yeah.
So Matthew was the one that happened pretty big a couple years ago, also down south.
Gotcha.
So they evacuated all of us from campus 2 weeks after we had just got there and got used to everything, was getting a schedule down.
Right.
And then we came back home for I think at least a week because they had to clean up everything down there. And that was kind of tough. I had to basically go back and re-transition again. So that was tough.
It's hard being on the coast like that, because you don't know what that storm's going to do. Mm-hmm. And I have done so you go places like that and it's scary, where, you go to college and, I don't even just say Georgia, and you're like, oh, there's a hurricane coming. Well, we're not landlocked, but we're in the area where we'll be fine. Yeah. So they made a big deal about moving you guys out. Mm-hmm. Was there any people like, "Dadgummit, I'm staying. Get you cooler. I'm good."
So we have a lot of foreign people there at FGCU that come and board there and stuff like that from overseas. Yeah, they had never even seen a hurricane before.
Oh, you about to find out.
Exactly. They are big Alika Arena that they play volleyball and basketball, and I guess it's like a tornado shelter as well. So they would move all those students there, and actually people in the community around Lee County and stuff that didn't have a safe place to go. They put them all in there. Yeah,
I think. The storm shelters, they should be utilizing all the stadiums because they're supposed to withhold or withstand all that, the
Category 5 winds.
Oh man, when Katrina hit New Orleans, it wasn't the storm, it was the water. Mm-hmm. The storm was all the devastation left behind. It was all the hurricane's gone, and then that's when all hell broke loose. They couldn't get the buses out. The mayor was like, "I'm not going to run the buses," or he didn't do it till later. I don't remember how it went, but when the levees broke, and the levees didn't do their job and flooded the town, somebody gave a great analogy of New Orleans. It said, "You ever been in New Orleans?"
I've been to wherever LSU is. They're Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, yeah. Okay. So New Orleans is, I don't know how many feet below sea level, but it's like you take a pot of soup and then you put the bowl in the soup and the soup is at the edge of the bowl and then you have that's New Orleans. Wow. Is the bowl inside.
Just setting up for flooding.
Right. So imagine the side of the bowl breaking.
Ooh. Where
are you going to go? You can't go nowhere. Mm-mm. So that's the best terminology or analogy I've ever heard of it, because it's that far below sea level that. But people flock there all the time. They're like, we love our New Orleans.
Right. Mardi Gras.
Yeah. Guys, Mardi Gras is not that great. We're being flooded out of the house or dying. It's not worth that much. But a lot of people, I understand that's where they're from and the family and stuff. And and if you don't have a hurricane for 100 years, nobody cares.
Exactly.
You have 4 in 1 year, there starts to raise some questions around there.
But, and it's sad that there's still so much around there that's like damage from the hurricane and stuff that'll probably never recover, to be honest.
Yeah, another bad thing was I went there in 2009. This is it was in July. Michael Jackson had just died. Oh. And so my buddy and I went to Texas, and we stopped in New Orleans, and they had, the tourism thing. They had, Katrina was 4 years before that. Mm-hmm. They had books about Katrina. I'm like, somebody's making money off this. I just felt really bad about it. I'm like, now if they're taking the proceeds and giving it to families, that's different. That'd be one thing, but just making money off somebody else's misfortune. That's sad. Yeah, it's bad. So Gulf Coast, let's see. You get there, you do all the stuff, the transition period. Who did you guys play? What kind of other colleges did you play against that were kind of like your rivals?
Yeah, so like my freshman year, we played a lot of the bigger schools like Oregon, FSU, FAU, those kind of schools, and we held our own. We almost beat Oregon, and then they kind of did like a home run or something, and I put them ahead a little bit. But yeah, we played some bigger schools for sure. Our rivals, I say, were probably like UCF, FIU, FAU, a lot of the southern schools down there.
Right.
But yeah, our conference series are really like we're really good there. We were in the ASUN, so we played people like UNF, JU, a couple northern schools now like University of North Alabama, Kennesaw, those places like that.
Gotcha. So. Do you ever play University of Miami?
No, I don't think they have a softball team.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were supposed to a couple years ago.
A baseball team, football, basketball?
No softball team.
No softball. That's weird.
We need to pitch the idea to them. Man, get a softball team.
Well, that's a totally different deal down there. That's a private college. They do whatever they want in there. Which I didn't know that. I thought it was a state college.
I didn't know that either. It's private?
It's private. Oh, and it's expensive.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. It was expensive 20 years ago. I can't imagine what it is now.
Prime time right there with everything. Gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Baseball, though, we played them, and they were our rival for that. When they would come play us, it would be like sold out all the games. So
it's another good documentary, The U. Have you seen that?
I don't know. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's good.
Is it?
It's good, yeah. You have to watch that. They talk about how Coral Gables, that's where University of Miami is. Mm-hmm. Coral Gables, back in the 50s and 60s, it was it was almost like a country club. Mm-hmm. And then it shows like the football play, like Michael Irvin and all these the bad boys coming in and just creating this culture.
Yeah,
like we are the U. That's how they got their name. Mm-hmm. And it's a cool. There's two of them, the U and U2. But yeah. That's weird, though. That's so weird.
But one of the girls I played with travel ball for many, many years, they were big Miami fans, and they were, like, before we went to college a couple years, they were rumored to be getting a softball team. She was so excited, like, wanting to go there, and they just never did it.
Weird.
I know.
Promotional consideration paid Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsaukena's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and puff. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Is the exterior of your home or business covered in dirt, mildew, or mold? Driveway or walkway stained? Pressure King can make your siding, deck, vents, and concrete look new again with no damage. Pressure King has cleaned the exterior of houses and businesses all over Sumter County area. Usually it takes less than a day and costs less than you would expect. Call AJ at 352-457-7209. Wow. Okay, so let's see. So the sophomore year, you have any highlights?
Yeah.
Did you ever pitch a no-hitter?
Yep, that was my senior year.
Oh, okay, well, good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's funny, they kind of tie in. So, like two of the things that really stand out at my time at FGCU was my sophomore year and my senior year. They kind of are connected a little bit because I was hurt for both of them.
Yeah.
So my sophomore year, we were in conference play, like halfway through, I want to say, and we were tied with, I think, the team, University of North Alabama up there.
Okay.
We were both tied for like who was going to finish regular season championships or whatever, and so we went up there to play them, and it was me and another girl. We were kind of shared like the pitching spot for number one, and we would rotate games, and it's best 2 out of 3 when you're playing conference. So she was starting the first game, and she had kind of gotten hurt a while back in her back or something. So she didn't last very long. She did like an inning or two, and then I had to come in. And a couple weeks before, maybe like 2 weeks before, I actually hyperextended my knee in our batting cages because it rains a lot, obviously, down there in Fort Myers. So we have to pitch and stuff in the batting cages on turf, and it had gotten wet right there. And I kind of strided out and really hyperextended my knee. So I was coming off of that and trying to rehab and stuff with that. But I had to go in, and we ended up winning that first game against them by like 1 run. It was really, really close. So then we had to turn around and play right again, a doubleheader. I pitched that whole game. We won it again. So we'd won the series at that point, best 2 out of 3. But we really needed to get that third win to kind of solidify our place in the regular season championship. And so I went back to the hotel that night and did like a bunch of rehab on my knee, iced it, took some Aleve and stuff. I'm allergic to ibuprofen, which sucks.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Needed that several times. So
oh my gosh.
That was awful being allergic to that. So I did a bunch of rehab that night, did like the TENS unit on it where it does all that electrical stuff.
Yeah.
And then I come out there the next day, and like our hitting showed up really good. So I think we like run ruled them or something in that game. So we won all 3 of those games, and that was my first ASUN Pitcher of the Week like award that I got.
Gotcha.
So that was a cool moment, being able to get that for my first time sophomore year. And I was like hurt basically while I was doing it. And then fast forward to senior year, we were up at the FSU tournament. We weren't having a good season that year. Like, it was a rough start. That was our first season back from COVID. So there was a bunch of protocols. People weren't being able to play because they tested positive, but weren't sick. So it was just, it was a mess. So we were still getting used to all that. This was the beginning of the season. We played FSU the night before, and I think we lost like 6 or 7-0. It wasn't a good game. But when I was hitting in that game, I was in the box, and the clay that they had decided to do that night was like wet and sticky for some reason, and like very tough. So I went to swing, and my back leg just completely stayed like stuck in the ground, and I ended up like straining my IT band that runs up there. Right. I don't know what the terms are for it. The athletic trainer was trying to explain it to me, but I didn't tear it, but almost did, and so. It was rough. I didn't even go out there and pitch after that because we were already losing, and it was not a good game. So they put somebody else out there, and I started doing rehab on it right away and wrapped it and stuff. And the next day we came out there and we were playing FAMU right away. And so he was like, you need to pitch today. Like, I want you to do better and stuff and all that. And I was like, okay. Basically I tore IT band and had to wrap it and do some like stretching and stuff for the game. And then I got out there and actually threw a no-hitter in 5 innings against him. So I'm like, I guess I need to be hurt to be at my absolute best. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, those are 2 big moments that stand out for sure from FGCU.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still amazing the mechanics of a softball pitch.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I used to not think it was crazy because I did it so much, but just hearing what people have said over the years about it, windmill, whatever.
You know what's funny is I was looking at a couple. I was trying to do some research, and I Googled some pictures for you, and some put on the show, and then there's other pictures that came up, and it's unbelievable how. Even in freeze frame, the same pitch, it's the same girl, but it's the same. It's the repetition. It's different pictures, but her hand's at the same spot. It's amazing. And I double checked to make sure it wasn't like the same picture. but it was a different game. She had a different uniform on. And I'm like, but they caught it right the same. It's that same motion.
Yep.
And I'm like, it looked like she's like winging it. And I don't know. I'm just blown away by the whole thing. It's like, it's crazy.
It's definitely a lot of wear and tear on the shoulder for sure, but it's obviously healthier for your arm than overhand baseball.
That's what Kirsty was saying. And I told Kirsty, I said, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I could get a hit off. If you threw me a ball, I don't know if I could hit it.
A lot of guys think they could. They can't.
It's funny is they do a video where it'd be the softball team versus the football team.
So funny. Oh my gosh.
And there's always
just whiffing. Absolutely whiffing.
There's always one though that goes yard. He's like throws the bat.
Right.
What about the other guys? The other 8 guys that couldn't even touch it. No. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I always swore, like when I was in high school, I would always try to pitch the idea of doing like a charity thing, like when you make like rice dinners or something like that, and do the baseball versus softball team. Yeah. Because down in Pasco, that's what they did actually, and they made a lot of money. That's cool. And they either divided it up between the softball and baseball team or gave it to the athletic department and stuff. And I always wanted to do that in high school, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's too dangerous." No.
Yeah, sadly, everything's a liability.
I know.
I mean, if you look at it that way, it makes sense, but. Because they're like, what if somebody does get hurt in their vital piece?
Right.
I mean, it's just like...
Takes a 90-mile-an-hour ball back to the face or something.
That's why we don't let them do... When powder puff, they don't let the guys play. You know what I mean? Like, it's all girls. They don't even want... There's no...
I couldn't imagine.
They don't want anything, They don't want anything going on. But, it's crazy. The whole mechanics behind it, it's just... The way you... I've like... tried to even mimic it, and I'm like, oh my god, that hurts so much.
That's so funny.
But even in high school, you're seeing girls being like, oh my gosh,
I know,
that'd put me in the hospital right there.
It takes so long for your arm to get used to that motion. Like I said, I started pitching about 6, and I didn't get good till 9. It's you finally get the motion down, and then it's like your feet are going before your arms, so you're like your arms lagging behind, or your arms going too fast and your legs aren't getting through. It's like it's basically kind of divided into 2 parts. Your legs, you're driving out, and you got to drag, can't throw illegal, and then your upper body, your arm, you got to make sure you're snapping through, getting it releasing at the right spot. So it's basically divided into 2 parts pitching, and you have to be able to combine them, and that's why I do a lot of my lessons. I tell them, I'm like, look, your legs are going too fast right now and your arms behind. That's why the ball is going way up or like way down kind of thing. So it takes a long time and a lot of repetitions just walking around the house doing it until it just becomes, second nature.
It's very important, and people don't realize, I say people, kids don't realize the repetition. I teach some kids, 9 and 10-year-olds, like, look, throw the baseball up in there and catch it. Just keep doing it. Yep. I know you got the energy to do it. Just keep doing it.
Exactly.
I've got 2 nieces that played the first time ever this year.
Yeah.
She's 12 now, and one's 11 now. She was 10 last year. Never played before. So, they're looking like they're a little behind. I said, well, of course they missed the fundamentals. They didn't play t-ball. And you just can't jump. It's like skipping kindergarten and going to 5th grade. Right. You got to know the fundamentals. You got to know what you're doing. But they love it, and that was the most important thing. Was they had fun, and that's all I cared about. And I told them, I said, if you like it, keep doing it.
Exactly.
But I was like, yeah, you should have been doing this 5 years ago. So when I watch their games and you see the girl barely make it over the plate, it's not that she can't throw, it's just the strength's not there. She's 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. There's no strength. You that comes with time.
Exactly.
So I understand exactly. I've seen it. I've seen some games this year where like it would the ball would bounce and hit in one hop and bounce at this and hit the plate again. Yeah. And the umpire's like, strike. I'm like, oh my God.
We're playing golf out here.
What is going on here? Like a 9-iron out there. Right. But I don't know. It's just something that I guess I'm hoping that this continues. The the love for softball.
Exactly.
These girls want to play.
And that's what, when I give my lessons and talk to some of the younger girls, when I go to some of their games or camps or whatever, I tell them, I'm like, look, you have to go home and practice. That's the key. If you're just doing the work out here at the lessons or just at practice, you're not going to get any better. You're just going to be as good as the amount of work that you put in.
Right.
And that was something big for me. Like, my dad had to force me to practice a lot of the times when I was younger because I didn't want to do it. And thankfully, he did, and I got to where I am. But there was, I would say out of the 365 days of the year that I was out there pitching or hitting or both for over 300 of them. Yeah. It was an everyday thing to get better and better, and it definitely paid off for sure.
Well, a lot of people don't realize if you just give time, like they say, 10 minutes a day, you learn so much more about whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be even sports. And they say if you do it for so many hours, 100 hours a day or 100 hours a year, then you'll be better than 95 or 97% of the world population at whatever you're doing. Yeah. So I totally believe that because, the simplicity of it is so so easy to do. It's, you're not thinking, oh, I could just, it's not even that, like sports, you just do like weight training or whatever. If I just worked out for 18 minutes, and that's less than how much it takes to make a pizza. You know what I mean? If you break it down to the time, it's not impossible. Exactly. But people just don't have time to make time. You know what I mean? It's true. They're like, I don't know. I'd rather be on my phone. Exactly, right? Yeah. It all boils down to priorities. Yeah.
You have to like kind of break it down like that, I think, like you said, because I forget the exact statistic, but I think it's like when you're hitting on a tee, you have to hit like 500 or 1,000 balls to like make a difference in your swing. Like if you're trying to hit an inside pitch better or something, you have to do that repetition, hit it right 500 or 1,000 times or whatever. And you kind of look at it, you're like, that's a lot. Yeah. But it's really not. When you kind of go out there and do a session, you're hitting 100, 200 balls. You just got to dedicate a little more time. Yeah. Do it in a couple different sessions. Right. Yeah.
I think people make it seem like it's worse than it actually is. That's not just sports. It's work too. The world. You think about it, you're like, I don't want to do that. And you're like,
full of excuses.
It wouldn't kill you.
Yeah. They always say tomorrow never comes.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part segment. Stay tuned for part 2.